In the heart of a bustling city, nestled between towering skyscrapers, there was a quaint little tea shop called SerendipiTea. The shop was owned by Mrs. Marigold, a cheerful old lady with a warm smile and twinkling eyes. Her shop was famous not just for the delicious teas, but for the enchanting experience it offered. One sunny morning, a young man named Jack stumbled into SerendipiTea. Jack was having a rough day. He had just lost his job, and his favorite pair of shoes had been ruined by an unexpected rainstorm. Seeking solace, he wandered into the tea shop, hoping for a moment of peace. Mrs. Marigold greeted him with her usual warmth. "Welcome to SerendipiTea. What can I get for you today, dear?" Jack sighed. "I don't know. Something to lift my spirits, I guess." Mrs. Marigold's eyes sparkled. "I have just the thing." She disappeared into the back and returned with a delicate, old-fashioned teapot. "This is a special blend. It's called Sunshine Delight." Jack raised an eyebrow but nodded. He watched as she poured the golden liquid into a dainty cup and handed it to him. As he took a sip, he felt a strange warmth spread through his body. Suddenly, the shop around him began to shimmer and glow. Before Jack knew it, he was no longer in the tea shop. He found himself in a magical garden filled with vibrant flowers, singing birds, and a gentle breeze that carried the sweet scent of blooming jasmine. In the center of the garden was a large, colorful teapot, much like the one Mrs. Marigold had used. Curious, Jack approached the teapot. As he got closer, he heard a soft giggle. To his amazement, the teapot's spout began to move, and out poured a tiny, sparkling fairy. "Hello, Jack," the fairy said with a twinkle in her eye. "Welcome to the Garden of Joy. I'm Faye, the tea fairy." Jack blinked, trying to process what was happening. "How do you know my name?" Faye giggled again. "I know all about you. And I know you've been having a tough day. That's why you're here." Jack couldn't help but smile at the fairy's infectious cheerfulness. "So, what do I do here?" "Simple," Faye replied. "Enjoy yourself. This garden is here to remind you of the joy in the little things." Jack spent what felt like hours exploring the garden, playing with the fairies, and marveling at the wonders around him. He felt his worries melt away, replaced by a deep sense of peace and happiness. Eventually, Faye fluttered over to him. "It's time to go back, Jack. But remember, the magic of this place is always within you." With a final wave, the garden began to fade, and Jack found himself back in SerendipiTea, the cup of tea still warm in his hands. Mrs. Marigold was watching him with a knowing smile. "Feeling better?" she asked. Jack grinned. "Much better. Thank you." As he left the shop, Jack couldn't help but notice that the world seemed a little brighter, the people a little kinder, and his heart a lot lighter. And every time he felt the weight of the world bearing down on him, he would return to SerendipiTea, knowing that a cup of Mrs. Marigold's special blend would always bring a bit of magic into his life.